We are back again for presumably our final session. Just sharing the screen now and waiting for participants who are already in the room. Welcome back, people. Welcome, welcome. Let us continue where we left off. So let us get this chat box showing up here, and then we shall continue. Right. So we got the working capital increase to 0.4. Next, investment. Punch through all our investments quickly. We can do this. Investment. So this was working capital. That's investment. Which investment? Take in first. Investment, not item 2. So item 3, additional non-current assets. Yeah, very good. NCA, what is it? 20 cents. Oh my gosh, for every dollar increase in sales again. Well, let's run it again in case we didn't calculate the 24, which I didn't do. I used the long thing. That's investment in NCA. So I will have to do it all over and say 0.2 times my increase of 0.08. I should have worked like what I was told and found the 8% since I had to use it twice. But I could copy here. What's that? Control home. I could work like what I was doing here. And sorry about that, a slip of the finger there. Went down to the end of the sheet. Times 0.2 instead. Or in other words, wait a minute, isn't there a shorter, more common sense way to do this? Somebody tell me. If this is simply double what you had before, just double the thing. 2.4 doubled is 4.8, isn't it? Wow, all this big maths we're doing. And we have little maths that could help us. All right, moving on. Hopefully Kinesia is laughing out loud in the background there. Yeah, fluff for points. Maybe for points. I'm sure if you put a statement saying, yeah, double the working capital increase, you'll get full marks. Anyway, next adjustment, next investment in, what did they call that? They call it investment in projects. That was a little silly. What is this note? This is, oh yeah, small projects. All right. 8 million additional investment in small projects. So eight, just minus 8, no workings necessary. 8. Right. So this is unfortunately not the end, because as we know from the notes, this is local FCFE. So we have to now put in the other cash that we are receiving, from our subsidiary. So it's equal to that minus these 3 things, minus 18.62. So we ain't done yet. That's just local. Back up to our case, which told us in addition to all of that stuff. All right, so right here, they use the same phrase on us. In addition to the above sales and profits, we now need to deal with more stuff. 1, obviously subsidiary Pontac Co., from which receives 80% of receive dividends of 80% on profits that they produce a specialist tool, sells for $6 each, expected to produce 400,000 units in the next year, which is where we're working currently. So if it's producing all of that, 400,000 Da-da-da-dum. 400,000, 60 each will include variable cost of 36. So we have selling price, we have variable costs, we have fixed costs. What we need? 80% of profits. So we need to find profits. Oh yeah, and after we subtract all of those tax down here, correct? So in addition to this, watch out for, they like this phrase in this question. In addition, a withholding tax of 8%. Further to that, we must subtract, deduct from any dividends remitted, bilateral equity, and therefore any tax on these profits will be given full credit for tax already paid. All right, so we have to watch out for that tax. So tax paid here, tax paid there, and we'll probably just do a credit, right? Because we already subtracted the 25. We could just do an add back at this stage. Everybody following the tax credit or tax treaty? So full credit, we'll do an add back. Good? And that'll take us, give us our full credit. So let's go. 400 by what? We would not want to be doing primary school multiplied by the 60 and then multiply 36 by the 400 and then deal with the 4. But yeah, we could deal with the 4 last. We will simply multiply the 400 by the 24. Is everybody good? So find total contribution. Punch. Total contribution, let's fix source. Come on. Time is line. Let's go. On tack. Cash. Cash inflow. Total contribution. I could probably use a different column here. 400K times 60 minus 36, and we get this value of remittances. 96, yeah, 9.6 million, good. 9.6. Let's get some more working values going here. At my same 2 decimals. Right. So total contribution less fixed costs. How much million? $4 million. Good. And again, during a double line and subtracting 5.6. Right, what next? From here, tax and withholding. Anything else? No, we netted off. We got the fixed costs. We had to deal with the tax and the withholding. So when would the dividend be paid? Before or after the tax? And then we have to use 80%. After the tax, the equivalent amount exchange rate fluctuations can be ignored. Oh, we have a nice line down here, exchange rates being ignored, and this is dollars. So, any tax? %. Equal 0.2 times that. 1.12 after tax. Anybody? Whoa, pen falling now. Too hurry now. 1.12 after tax. What do we got after tax? 1.12 is the tax. Equal that minus that. Get 4.48, and therefore dividends at 80%. Dividends. So we'll go back there before I deal with Anita's withholding. Let's go up here and see how this is affecting what do we do first, right? So reading this withholding and this dividend. So a withholding tax of 8%, Anita, a withholding tax of 8% is deducted from dividends remitted. So what do you do first? Deduct the 8% or find the dividends? And she says to me, tax. I just did the tax. So, all right, it's a second tax. So, right. So we have to find the dividends first and then take away the 8% because it's deducted from the dividends. Hello? So we're going to do the dividends and then reduce the dividends by the 8%. Are we okay there? Yes? Everybody else? Make sure. So at this line where we're at, we need to find the dividends, which is 80%. So we now want to the 80% and then come down here and minus the 8% after we find the 80%. So let's roll. Dividends at 80. I could probably do a line here because I don't need that anymore. So from the dividends equal 0.8 times that and less withholding tax at 8% equals 0.0 times that, and therefore remittance equal that minus that 3. Right, any queries here? So what's our tax credit? Would this withholding tax be subject to that credit too? Let's go back and see our treaty. Balance tax treaty exchange between companies. Therefore, corp tax is payable on profits made by subsidiary, but full credit is given for which tax? Full credit is given for tax paid? No. Full credit is given for which tax paid? Only for the corporation tax paid, not for the withholding tax. Good. So the 8%, no credit for that. The only credit we're getting is additional tax. I looked at the answer there and I saw a little boo-boo in my methodology. What is this going to mean for tax, really? Going back to our, I didn't mean to highlight that. I'll do that. Coming back to our, save there. Yeah, to our situation. So having done all of this up to here, right? Or having already subtracted tax way up there, right? We're now adding in a new cash flow of 3.30. Which tax will we now get this credit on? Will we now be adding back this 1.12? Was this 1.12 paid on this 18? Is it the 1.12 we have to add back here? this tax, corp tax. No, that's the sort of logic I was going with earlier, but I just reminded myself that that is not what we need to look at. So the idea here, go ahead, Stacy, show us the light. Why is it not that? What do we have to do with this tax treaty? Keep going. Additional tax. The profits is not the word I was waiting for. Just fix the last word. Additional tax on. Put the R word instead. That we have on the screen. We're not taxing the profits no more. Profits was up here. This line was profits. What are we throwing the additional tax on? On the remittance. Very good. And it is saying dividend. Well, not the whole dividend, but the amount of the dividend that's been remitted. Good. So the idea is that this is new cash flow coming into the head office, and head office tax would now apply to that. So the remittance less tax on remittance net of tax treaty. So that would now be our local tax of the 25% less the treaty, which you already paid 20% in PON-tax country. So therefore, remaining 5% tax to pay, right? So the tax on the remittance at 5%. So equals 0.05. Everybody following? Amar, you okay with that? Times this is the tax. So again, this tax having already been paid, if we had worked the full 25 here, then we would take the 25 and add back the 1.12. That's the only way we would have added back the 1.12. Right, Amar? I was going to add back the 1.12. No, one would have been an add, Stacey, and one would have been a deduction, which would have come back to the same thing as we subtracting the rates here. Yeah, so it would have been double counted. So if we apply the full 25, but then it wouldn't have come back to the same thing, because this is tax on the full amount, whereas we're looking at tax at only this 0.3. Very interesting. All right, I guess that wording here is a little misleading for us to kind of do that. That you would have, therefore corporate tax is payable on profits made by a subsidiary, but full credit is given for corporate tax already paid. Very interesting. So therefore, I think if we follow this carefully, we have an error. Corporation tax is payable on what? Not on the remittance. I think Stacy had it right the first time. Yeah, Stacy mentioned that, and I asked her to put the R word. So corporation tax is payable on the profits made by the subsidiary. So, and then we credit. So I guess that's where we could have done the addition thing I was talking about. So let's do that. So again, we could do that in cash flow terms. So this here is not right. Tax on profits. This here is not right. All right, so again, the other way of working that is to have said 25% times 25% times the 5.6 minus 20% times the 5.6. Either which way you work that, that would have worked out to the 1.12 minus this new percentage, 0.2 times 5.6. Oh, what's going on there? 0.2 times 5.6, 1.12, 0.25 times 5.6. Oh, for process 4.48. No, hold on. That's net profits after tax. This is profit after tax. So it's a 5.6 we're looking at. So here, profit before tax. Yeah, and I'm getting something upward by 1.12. Why is that 0.2? Oh yes, we have our local taxes at 0.2. So it's the other way around. So the 0.25 times 5.6 is what I would have been looking at. So I would have been looking at subtracting a 1.40. So this is a long way. And from that, I would credit out the 1.12. Right? So either we could do that long working, or we could just find the 5% tax on 5.6. Right? So either which way, we will get our 0.28. Are we okay now? So tax is a little tricky there. Watch out for it. So you could have your add back of your 1.12. If you subtract the 1.4, subtract the 1.4, add back 1.12. Still get that. Or do the 5% on the 1.6. Good? So that is that. FCFE? Looks like it. Oh, it's almost 10:30. So, equals up here minus there plus there. Then I'm putting 0.64. Hold on, where Anita getting that fancy thing from? She didn't put the up here local FCFE. Come on, Anita. It's the 18 we're pulling down all the way down, minus those two. Well, add the 3 minus the 0.28. That's 21.64. Any queries here? Right. So at this stage, I think I want to close off our session for tonight. I'm expecting another call from this other student who has exams tomorrow. So let me give him a little priority. We still have a little bit to do in the question. So I guess we could continue that off tomorrow, and we could spend a little bit of time overviewing the theory, which again, making sure everybody has a handle on that theory. I will email the answer sheet now for those who didn't get it, and advise and recommend on hedging strategy. We did that. Use the information to assess whether or not the project would add value. That's the tricky bit we'll do down here. So we still have this part 3 outstanding. Let's complete that tomorrow, and we'll overview these discussion areas, as well as we will do, as planned, some mergers and acquisitions tomorrow. Did anybody, Stacy, did you find a particular mergers and acquisitions you want to look at? Or let me look for one. Yes, no? Anything there, Stacy? So this is outstanding. We'll do that tomorrow. And A and 4. So 3 things to close off tomorrow. We wouldn't spend too long with that. All right, so I'll try and find one, and I'll pick one from the more recent papers, and I'll throw it out into the chat room. All right, everybody, once more, thank you very, very much. Any last questions before we go? So this here, again, quite doable by following the elements in the question. Watch out for questions like that, and you should try and tackle those. Right? Of course, in this case, it was your compulsory question, so you had to fight up with something. Right? So try and follow the instruction. And of course, look at that silly thing. Look at how this came. Right? They didn't tell you FCFE. They told you dividend capacity, and you just got to remember your stuff, people. So straight from the book, I say. All right. So once more, not seeing any questions popping up. Thank you all very much, and we will close off here, finish this off tomorrow night, and move on to mergers and acquisitions. Yes, good night, everybody. You're most welcome. Keep studying all this time off. Anita, you have any time off this week? And Kanesia, where the time off, people? Time off, time off, time off. Great, Anita is home. Kanesia, where's your time off? Bye-bye, Stacy. See you tomorrow night. Kanesia is not telling me that she has any time off. She'll get licks on her. Today was last day of work. Right, so I will continue to post your other videos and watch out for those. All right, good. Get work done, people. We still have days. We still have days and hours. Work done. Work done equals pass. Thank you, and keep working. Good night.